started. Hello, 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 hello. I've never hit the gavel in 24 years, so I really don't want to go near it. So we're going to get started. We got a couple presentations to have this evening. I'll read the opening mayor's statement, and then we'll go from there, Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll tweak the agenda a little bit so that we can help the folks move along with the evening. So, compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on July the 23rd, 2021, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, the Upper Township website, and the Town Hall foyer, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel-Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on the Upper Township website. I hereby directed this announcement be made a part of the minutes of this meeting. I would ask everyone to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Corson?
Present.
Ms. Hayes? Here. Mayor Colombo?
Here.
All members are present.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from July the 12th, 2021, both the regular and closed session minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Okay, hearing none. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. All in favor?
Okay, so I'm going to throw a little mayoral thing in here and move the agenda a little bit. We'll wait for the report of the governing body members. We'll do the first two resolutions, and then we'll do presentations, and then we'll go back to how the agenda is so noted on the sheet. So, would you someone like to make a we'll read the resolutions when we present it to the individuals.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 1.
Second.
And this is honoring Bruce Riordan for 45 years of service.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion to approve resolution number 2.
Second.
And this is honoring therapy dog Ezekiel and owner Mary Lyons.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So tonight we're really very fortunate, the township's very fortunate to honor with two resolutions, two different types of one's a dog and her owner, and one is Chief Riordan, who has celebrating 45 years of service to the Strathmere, as chief of the Strathmere Volunteer Fire Company. So Bruce, if you and your family want to come up, I'll read the resolution. We'll come out and give you a salute. I know that there's some plans ahead of you this evening, and I assured everyone that we'd get you out here in a reasonable time. So let's get started so that you can celebrate in the way you want to. You want to follow them up? Come on up. Come on, you got your Cheerios. Can we have some of them? There we go. Good stuff. So I'll read the resolution, so it's a part of the record. This is to honor Bruce Riordan for 45 years of service to the Strathmere Volunteer Fire Company, whereas Bruce had first joined the Strathmere Volunteer Fire Company in 1976 at the age of 18. For 45 years, Bruce has generously volunteered his personal time in service to the Strathmere Fire Company, serving first as a lieutenant and then as a fire chief from 1981 to the present. As the longest-serving active fire chief in the history of Upper Township, Bruce's accomplishments are as diverse as they are extensive, including serving an integral role in the negotiation of an EMS and fire mutual aid agreement with Ocean City, organizing a water shuttle from Sea Isle to Strathmere during a water tower pump failure, coordinating the Strathmere 4th of July parade, and running a fire company that is completely debt-free and was recently placed in the nation's top 10 of all fire companies for their timely response to every emergency. Whereas throughout his tenure as chief of the Strathmere Fire Company, Bruce has first and foremost been a fireman dedicated to the safety and well-being of the citizens of our community, while earning the respect and high regard of his fellow firemen for his valor, strength, and compassion. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee on behalf of the citizens of the Township of Upper, that we hereby honor Bruce Riordan for 45 years of service to the Strathmere Volunteer Fire Company and extend to him our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for the time and service that he gives to his community. And this is amazing. That type of volunteerism comes very few and very far between, so it deserves the recognition that you all just gave Bruce, and this township as a whole really salutes you for all that you've done, and it's well deserved that they honor you tonight, and I hope you get to celebrate and enjoy the evening, and I like that you have your family here, so it's always good for us. And to have other people here. And by the way, since I've never hit this gavel, we always let the wee ones have a chance to get a hit. So, you want to try this? No? I tried! You want to try it?
That's just the tip of the iceberg for Bruce. A lot of things that Bruce does that goes on said. The one thing is he's also chairman of the Chiefs Association, which, how long has that been? 25 years or better?
Probably,
Yeah. He was active in the park committee, and he just keeps giving back to the municipality time and time again when asked.
And he's also part of our OAM staff.
Yes.
So. And the beat goes on, so I hope all of you get to enjoy a great evening. You're certainly welcome to stay, but I know that's not going to happen. So enjoy this evening and give him all the recognition he so strongly and deserves. So have a great night, everyone. But I would ask that you wait because we have one more presentation that I think is, certainly befitting as well. And then we'll have a little break so that everyone can depart and get on with whatever they need to do. But I'm going to ask Ezekiel to come up, as well as Mary Lyons.
Maybe you should go down this.
Well, I'll read it and I'll come down. Hello, Ezekiel. I know. So we're going to read this resolution honoring therapy dog Ezekiel and his owner, Mary Lyons and Tom, for their volunteer service and support to the Upper Township community. Whereas Ezekiel, a white 93-pound, 7.5-year deaf boxer, became a therapy dog in 2016 and an associate member of the Upper Township Rescue Squad in 2018. Whereas the Upper Township Rescue Squad member Mary Lyons is a retired educator and is proud owner and trainer of Ezekiel. Ezekiel is certified with the Alliance Therapy Dogs, Canines for Christ, and National Crisis Response Team, has earned the AKC Therapy Dog certifications of Advanced, Excellent, Distinguished, and Good Citizen, and understands communication given through American Sign Language. Ezekiel has over 500 visitations with 275 just with the rescue squad to a variety of facilities, including residential centers, children's hospitals, drug rehabilitation programs, churches, schools, youth conferences, and sporting events. With the main title of Crisis Response Dog, Therapy Dog, Ezekiel aids the rescue squad by responding to calls involving trauma, serves as emotional support to the emergency management team, and attends meetings and drills. Ezekiel's services are also available to young athletes participating in various Upper Township recreational leagues to help players deal with emotional impacts and present a cheerful presence. Ezekiel provides a welcoming and reassuring presence at many community events and will begin weekly visits to the Upper Township Senior Center when they resume their daily operations. So now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee, on behalf of the citizens of the Township of Upper, that we express heartfelt gratitude to Mary Lyons and her exceptional therapy dog Ezekiel for volunteering their services and sharing his amazing talent in providing trauma relief and emotional comfort to the Upper Township Rescue Squad and the entire Upper Township community. Again, incredible service to the community. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ezekiel. I'm not sure how to do the sign language to say thank you. How do you thank you? Have a great night, everyone. Who?
Do it alone. She's over for
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. Is she a nurse practitioner?
She is.
Oh, wow. Very good.
Sharp kid, I'll tell you. She's pretty thorough.
I'll tell you more what happened.
Where is she at? Yeah.
He took over his office. He's back in practice. Where'd everybody go?
We should do that kind of stuff last. Make them sit through the meeting.
See, yeah, you thought they were all good for you.
Change that, yeah.
I know. This is how it's all going to end. with a quick goodbye. See you later, alligator.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We know them all at 6. That way you can work till 4:30, go to Dino's, get something to eat, and come back. Yeah.
All right, we're all ready to get started again. That was quite a couple of nice presentations. So let's go back. Scott, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, good evening, Mayor. Just one thing tonight, that's a continuation of our Cape May County Department of Health report on COVID-19. Cape May County Department of Health administered a total of 21,443 doses so far. New Jersey Department of Health reports that 57,636 Cape May County residents have received at least one vaccine dose, and 53,391 have been fully vaccinated. Cape May County Department of Health is providing COVID vaccines 3 days a week, 2 days in the community and 1 day at their offices. Clinics will be held in the community on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and at the Cape May County Department of Health every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The next mobile clinics will be held on July 27th and July 29th at Woodbine Ambulance Corps Building at 517 DeHirsch Avenue in Woodbine. The Cape May County Department of Health Vaccination Clinic on July 28th will take place at their offices located at 6 Moore Road in Cape May County. And obviously, based on some new trends with the variant of COVID-19, they are certainly recommending strongly that everybody who has not gotten vaccinated to be sure and do so.
And I'll second that. We really need to have folks concentrate and overcome some of the fears and some of the misinformation that's being circulated. Get the vaccine. There's so many people that are now getting the variant that have said, I wish I had gotten it. Don't take the chance, get the vaccine.
Correct. Numbers, total in Cape May County, we've had 9,003 since the very beginning who have contracted the COVID-19, and a total number of deaths in Cape May County of 209. And thank goodness that number has not gone up for several months now. So that is all I have this evening.
Okay, great. Barbara,
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Daniel,
Nothing at this time.
Paul.
Thank you. First, I just would like to report, we held our second annual flood insurance promotion meeting over the weekend on this past Saturday. We had a good turnout. There was over 20 residents that came out and met with us to discuss, to learn a little bit more about their flood insurance and how to make sure that they're getting the best rates possible. We also discussed there is going to be a new method of rating your flood insurance as we move forward. So kind of discussed that briefly, but that rollout of that information actually doesn't start until August, as far as knowing all the particulars. So we had a good turnout from there. Second, Scott and I met with Garden State Parkway officials. One was the director of operations for the Parkway, and discussed some of the traffic issues with the turning movement from Roosevelt Boulevard onto the northbound Parkway lanes, and discussed how we might be able to address some of the safety concerns there. When they did the traffic analysis, based on the initial reports from the state police, there's not as many accidents as you would think, or kind of, you kind of think that there's been a lot, but when they really collected the data, there really has been very few accidents at that location. We're doing some little more research with our emergency services, both Memorial Fire and our EMS, to kind of verify what the state police records have. But they are looking to do some interim improvements over the next 2 to 4 weeks at that location, as well as the county did make some. When they were out there, they noticed some of the timing of the signal was off, so they've adjusted that signal and are going to make a couple more tweaks to it to try to make it a little more safer, so that people making that left-hand turn just need to be attentive and not try to race.
It's the problem with the yield from people coming from Ocean City. It's not making the left-hand turn. Because I make that left, it's no one stops to yield for the people that are making the left-hand turn.
That's because people don't understand yield means to stop.
Yeah, I mean,
And
they're almost better off putting a stop sign there, because they would at least come to a stop and look before they proceed.
Well,
That's the problem. The
that
problem is no one stops.
That is part of the improvements. They're going to add additional signage as well as traffic markings on that ramp from heading on from Ocean City to that northbound ramp to make it more clear.
I don't know what the statistics are from the state police, but there's been almost an accident a week there this summer.
Seems like it.
That's what I'm here for.
Let me ask you this question, Paul. Depending upon where the point of impact is on the motor vehicle accident, if it's on the ramp, who has jurisdiction? The Garden State Parkway?
I'm not sure who pulls jurisdiction.
Which that could possibly be the situation, because if it's on the ramp and it's the Garden State Parkway, they have their own stats as opposed to what you're going to get out of Woodbine Barracks, because if it's then on Boulevard, the Woodbine Barracks handle it.
They actually
So-
pulled the records from both
Okay.
barracks, realizing that one may have gotten.
Well, it's kind of hard to believe. I mean, I'm not down there monitoring it, but it just seems like we have a lot of incidents.
And I get all the 911 dispatches for everything, and it seems like it absolutely is happening. Like Curtis says, it's on a weekly basis, sometimes more than weekly.
Yes.
And
We were shocked by the statistics.
Right.
Well, I mean, if they're
And that's why we're
not,
double
if they're not alarmed with the statistics, I gotta believe there can't be a worse intersection in this county.
Well, according to the statistics, it's not. So that's why we're getting some
Well,
additional information.
Chief Newman's here, I'd like to hear what he's got to say about it, because I gotta believe his statistics are a little better than,
Mr. Mayor, can I?
Yeah, do me a favor, Jay, come up to the podium because we're taping it and state your name. And I'm doing this because, you know, obviously Chief Newman responds to a lot of these accidents, so.
Almost all of them, Mr. Mayor. Jay Newman, I'm Chief Marmora Fire Company, Marmora, New Jersey. As everybody knows, we've had a multitude of accidents. We do have the stats to prove it. I know you're talking a little bit about those stats that have them there. Sometimes the state police do not have the correct stuff because of jurisdictional boundaries, because the parkway ends here wherever the accident occurred. I am not a traffic expert, okay? But I do know what the majority of the accidents are caused by. The majority of the accidents are caused by people trying to beat the green light, turning left onto the parkway. Okay, either the arrow or the solid green when it changes to yellow, and they're not yielding to the inside lane. It happens in both directions, both getting on northbound when you're eastbound on Roosevelt and getting on southbound when you're westbound on Roosevelt. The same issue happens. It's because of the two lanes there. Once again, I'm not a traffic expert. The yield is a little bit of a problem, but in the last couple of years, I want to say months, it hasn't been the yield. It has been people turning in front of left-hand turning cars onto the parkway in front of cars that are at the light. We respond to every one of those, virtually every one of those accidents out of there. They are traffic nightmares. We have a setup for it. We just say it's north or southbound. We know where all the apparatus goes. It's always in the same spot, most of the time. I shouldn't say always. There was a pedestrian hit this past Friday night, about 10 o'clock. That had nothing to do with anything but a pedestrian walking in front of a car. My opinion, once again, it's under investigation by the state police. He was wearing dark clothes, I do know that, because I was there, and he was hit in the middle of the traffic lane where the pedestrian shouldn't have been. Just a huge volume of traffic, which continues to grow, impatient drivers, not only with the traffic, with the lights, but also with the yield a little bit. But I really think the yield is a minor problem with that. So if that's, any questions? I'm sorry.
do you think a full exchange at exit 20 would help alleviate some problems?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that would alleviate a lot of problems,
Cut down the flow.
but, you know, we know that's I want to say it's a very, very difficult, position. The exit 20 thing. There's not a whole lot the township can do about it other than trying to force the issue, because
We can keep asking.
just keep asking.
So in other words, one solution could possibly be changing the timing of the light.
I think
To delay it more.
we've thought about it and banged it around. Timing the lights would help a lot, I think, Deputy Mayor. I also think that if they would take the east or westbound Roosevelt Boulevard and made that one lane, or eliminated maybe the inside lane, and made that a right turn lane only to get on the parkway. Or if they did not eliminate that, extend that right-hand turn lane so that, like a concrete barrier goes down towards Pappy's a little bit, so that the chute's a little longer, so they have to make that commitment earlier. Once again, I'll preface it by saying I'm not a traffic expert, but that's from being in the field and responding to all these accidents. We even go up to the state police now and say, the usual thing happened, and we usually move all the cars off the road before they even get there. So, fortunately, they have not been of a serious nature. The cars today are much better built. We have transported, I don't think we've transported a whole lot of people out there lately. We have had some very serious accidents there as well, and that's not to excuse the damage to the intersection.
Yeah.
A lot of times the light gets hit, costing the county a lot of money to replace that light every time, too. Any other questions?
Do you keep your own statistics?
What's that?
Does the fire company have statistics that they could share with us?
Yeah, and also EMS. We've been working with, through Scott Morgan with Deputy Chief Coker as well,
Okay.
to put together, from dispatch, we can get all those instances. We're responding there virtually, probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, it's
I was being conservative and said once a week.
yeah, well, in the summer, it's a little bit more. And actually, in all honesty, what we see is more severity of accidents. If the traffic's real heavy, like it is on Saturdays, it's bumper to bumper every Saturday. Every Saturday it's bumper to bumper out there for 3 or 4 hours. We don't see them then because traffic's moving so slow. When it gets a little in the shoulder seasons, I think we see more accidents and more violence. The more violent accidents from like the end of April to the end of June, and from Labor Day till about the end of October, really.
More severe accidents.
The serious accidents, violence probably not the correct word. But in my opinion, timing would work, an extension of the right-hand turn lane. There's plenty of roadway there. It just needs some guidance, and I believe the most important thing is driver inattentiveness. That's what's really causing it more than anything. If you follow the laws of the state of New Jersey, you're going to be all right for the most part.
Mayor, everything that Chief Newman just discussed was discussed during the meeting today. The engineers are on point with everything. The 2 to 4 weeks that's just the start of this project. The overall engineering changes, they'll take a little bit longer, but I think some of the signage and things that they're going to put into place, and exactly what Chief Newman discussed as far as the possible temporary restructuring of that left-hand turn lane to make it safer, and all those different avenues that were discussed today. So,
okay.
Thank you.
and I know Paul and I will continue to follow up on this to ensure that they stay on point and they stay on schedule.
I just spoke with Deputy Chief Coker, and in our active 911 system, just in the past, this month, so far to date, we've had 6 accidents at that intersection. So,
We knew the numbers were off on the.
yeah, they have to be. We've done studies like this before, Scott, and we had a problem on the Parkway, and they said that at 26-2 southbound for years, and we kept complaining about it, and they denied there was any problem. And then one time we went out there, and it was milled and paved, and all of a sudden we stopped having accidents. That's what happens sometimes. They want to deny responsibility. You just got to keep your feet in the fire. So, I know we kind of went out of turn here. I understand that. I don't mean to take up the time, but also I think somebody else had a question about that. They were asking me to. You have a question for me?
I have to be honest with you, we typically wait to the public comment portion of the, and we will get to that. We only call Chief Newman up because of his, emergency response, but if you would bear with me and we get to the public comment, you'll certainly be able to tell us what's going on. Anything else, Paul?
No, that's all I had to report to you.
Barbara
Thank you.
Ludi,
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Committeeman Coggins.
Nothing this evening.
Committeewoman Hayes.
2 quick things. I want to thank our buildings and grounds crew for their work at the Crestview Playground. We had some community members reach out to us if they needed some repairs, so they were able to get that functional again. We're going to need a more long-term solution, which we're trying to work through, so I'll be back to all of you in the coming weeks with some thoughts and ideas. I also, our senior center is now open and offering the programming through the County Department of Aging. I want to thank the staff there for all their efforts through the pandemic. They continued with the Meals on Wheels delivery to home. There are still a number of our seniors who are not comfortable coming to the senior center, so they're still providing support for those individuals while they're also providing the programming at the senior center. And also, our fall sports are beginning to take hold. Our Upper Township Indians football team had their camp week this week, finished with their end of camp barbecue, and I was happy to be there and see everybody's smiling faces and and not have to do waivers and temperatures. And everybody was really doing everything they could. It was good. So that's all for me tonight.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Barr.
I have nothing to report, sir.
All right, Committeeman Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple things here. We had our Upper Township MS Bay race the other day when they raised, I think $3,800 for the multiple sclerosis, which was a good thing. We had our first place team in the females was Upper Township's Brooke Hanley and Eve Chiarilla, I believe. They were first place. And we also had another first place team was the 100 combined age of Wayne McMurray and Jim Gibbons. So that means both of them were 50 plus. And that was a little bit over a 6-mile row around the one island. And it was actually quite amazing to watch. They took off and you got to see them go until they went out of sight, and then you waited about an hour and a half and they came back.
It was like a crew race, right?
It was exactly
So
Just like a cruise.
if you didn't have somebody to talk to, it was quite boring. But it was a lot of fun. And the first place female crew, they were phenomenal. Because they beat a lot of the men's.
Because they actually started in a heat, the last heat, and they actually caught up to some of the
passed.
folks in the B heat.
Yes, they were a phenomenal crew. Also, the AC Invitational, we had a third place in the surf boat relay, which was Kyle Rumaker, Eve Chiarello, Ryan Fisher, and Brooke Hanley, which was two of the girls that rode in the other one. So they represented Upper Township well. And then we also had a fourth place in the surf dash with Aiden Blake, Mackenzie Blake, Alex Bonsky, I probably really butchered that one, and Casey McLeese. So Upper Township was well represented. They did a great job, and they're just phenomenal athletes. It was amazing to watch. So that's
It's
all I have.
amazing to see you make these compliments after all these years.
He was having a good time.
I know. I know. He often wondered why I would talk about these things.
renewed band.
Yeah. Okay, I have a couple things. I met with a county representative and the congressman and several residents from Marshallville Road to talk about the bridge. Subsequent to that, we've had some correspondence. I know Paul's been involved with it as well, with the county engineer. The ask is to make that Marshallville Bridge just a pedestrian bridge, not allow it to have any cars cross it. In fact, someone did this past week and were ticketed because they got stuck trying to go on the back the other way.
I believe they were arrested.
Well, whatever. So the idea is the county's going to move forward to try and do some sort of feasibility study. There's some concern that because it's a historic bridge that some of the structure might have to stay in place. And his recommendation was potentially the two concrete, slabs that connect it may stay in place, and then they can move it to some kind of museum or something because of its historic nature. But the residents seem to be in support of just having the pedestrian bridge so that it connects the neighborhood. It prevents, in the past they've had issues with people trying to circumvent some of the lights on 49 to beat the traffic. So I get the impression that, the residents are in favor of keeping a pedestrian walk, and, we're hoping that the county can move forward. They seem to be entrenched. The original discussion was, do we move forth with a resolution? We've done resolutions in the past. The county seems to be well involved with it, so, barring that, I thought it wasn't really necessary at this point because they seem to be focused on it. So, to give you that update. And then the other update is that I did notice that on August the 18th is a National Volunteer Firefighters Day. And so I'd like to make sure that we have a resolution for next meeting to appropriately honor all of our volunteers for the 4 companies. Maybe we can do like a 4 thing, include each name of each company, and then present it to the chiefs for all the outstanding work. You saw what happened this evening earlier with Mr. Riordan, how many years he's done it, but I know there's many firefighters that have been involved for many, many years. Chief Newman, as an example, and I think it'd be really appropriate for us to honor them on that National Day, August the 18th. So if we could do resolutions, that would be great. All right? That's a motion.
I'll second.
I'll third it, fourth it. There you go.
Fifth, sixth. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes? Yes. Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So that's all I have. Let's go to resolution number 3.
Item number 3, renewing mobile home park licenses.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And Paul, you're going to chime in if we have issues, right?
Yes, I'll-
Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Abstain.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Item number 4, renewing the mobile home park license for Osprey Cove.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Now, just for the record, my parents, it's not Osprey Cove, they live at Osprey Point, it's the same, it's not a problem. Or should I recuse myself?
You don't have to accuse yourself, they don't have any interest at all in that project.
Okay,
It's the same developer, that's,
right, okay,
the developer doesn't have an interest in Osprey Point anymore anyway.
right, okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Abstain.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried, 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Item number 5, renewing the campground licenses.
Move the resolution.
Second. Paul, anything?
There's a couple, I mean, most of them are all in conformance with our ordinances. There's a couple of them that have some minor deviations that I've talked to the owners and they're working through, some site lettering. I do have one campground that they have a potential conflict in the buffer, and I'm reviewing their site plan and their approvals, and we'll be addressing that with them in the upcoming month.
You're comfortable with everything?
Yes. I talked to Paul about it, he's gonna review the ones that may or may not be in compliance. If they're not in compliance, he's gonna do what our standard operating procedure is, notify them that they have to get in compliance. If it's an issue by the time they renew next year, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Abstain.
Mr. Corson?
Well, abstain.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 3 in favor, 2 abstentions. Just take this record here. Okay, item number 6, renewing campground license for Whippoorwill Campground.
Move the resolution.
Second.
So for discussion, any
Well,
input?
there are outstanding violations here. It's frankly subject to litigation, and those violations are not being utilized, those campsites are not being utilized, and the improvements that were not approved by the township are not being utilized, and this is what we did last year while the litigation was pending. Hopefully it'll be resolved in the future, but this resolution addresses the fact that we preserve all of our rights with respect to those violations.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Abstain.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay, item number 7, authorizing the mayor and township clerk to sign a contract with Cape Professional Billing, Cape Medical Billing for emergency billing services.
Motion
Resolution.
authorized.
All right, you got your first and second there.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried, all in favor. Item number 8, appointing Aaron Hollibaugh as senior guard to the Upper Township 2021 Season Beach Patrol.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 9, appointing 2021 Season Beach Patrol personnel contingent
Move the resolution for the purpose of discussion.
Second.
Just wanted to say that these are our results of our July 17th tryout, which we had phenomenal results for the tryout. We had 5 people try out, 5 people pass with no issues. This will get us back to par to where we should be for the next week and a half until we start losing guards.
So are, in the past, you know, if there's a pressing situation, are they going to do rookie school before?
They're going to do rookie school and try to put these guys through as fast as they can.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that there's a lot of college students that are getting ready to
Yes.
start heading back, so we probably need to fill
The
in.
beautiful thing is, with these 5 people, we should have a full stable next year if they all return.
Okay. Great. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Carried. 10, authorizing the purchase of certain items for the chief financial officer to withdraw funds in the amount of $6,822.52 from the account entitled Recycling Trust Account for such purposes.
Motion to authorize.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 11, authorizing the disposal of personal property with no market value.
Motion to authorize.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Favor. Item number 12, under new business, request to purchase township-owned property at block 632, lot 15.
Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a little bit of a unique situation. The person that's requesting it, the property, when they bought the property, they noticed based on the survey that the house has probably been there since, I forget what they said, you know, probably for over 50 years, is encroaching on the township property. So they're obviously requesting to purchase the township property to, you know, to remove that nonconformity that has existed for all these years. Their lot is severely undersized. The township's lot is also undersized for what the ordinance requires. And it's in an area where there would be no other public purpose, so it does meet our criteria. And they do, obviously, because the encroachment on there, they obviously would want to consolidate it into their lot for no further subdivision.
I guess they had title insurance when they bought it?
I don't know what you know, I mean, I think it was fully disclosed when they bought it of the, I think,
Well,
of the encroachment.
It must have been, because the survey was predated the date of the sale, so I assume it is. There's a number of other properties that are adjacent to this, so it's not necessarily going to cure the problem. Our process,
Open it up to everyone.
with the state statute is you authorize us to proceed, an appraisal will be obtained. We'll do an ordinance, the appraisal will set the minimum value for a bid. There will be an auction among the adjacent property owners. And the requirement that you've asked for in the past is that it does not create another building lot, so it has to be merged with the adjacent property and may not be utilized as an additional building lot. I should disclose that if the owner of block 574 lot 8 bids on this property, I would then have a conflict, and it also would raise some significant issues because that's a rather large parcel, and the restriction would have to be carefully worded so that the lot being sold merges with adjacent property and cannot be utilized to add acreage to create an additional building lot.
So I have a question. What happens if somebody outbids this particular applicant and their house is still abutting on township property? Like
It's an encroachment.
they would
We
have to
not
move the
enforced
house?
it. But you could ask them to move to the house, but never enforced it. It's wooded land. It's like any other neighbor that encroaches upon your property. It's your property line. There are some issues with respect to wooded land and adverse possession against the municipality. Generally speaking, You can't have adverse possession against the state for one of its instrumentalities. Adverse possession is where you're there on the property, open, notorious, everybody knows about it for 20-some years, and if that's the case, you may have the right to stay there. We could probably negotiate with them and say, look, you can keep it there, but if you ever remodel it or it gets destroyed or you move it or rebuild, you gotta get back off our property line.
Unless they're the winning bidder, right? And then we don't have this problem.
I suspect they're going to be extremely interested in being the winning bidder.
Okay.
Well, I would
So,
hope somebody, another neighbor would bid.
Well, there is an isolated, two small isolated lots right in the middle of our property, so 17 and 18 could also bid.
all right, so you're gonna make them aware of the situation that, you know, we have to by statute open it up for the adjoining neighbor, you know, so,
And if
They were
somebody,
fully aware before they purchased the property. I've
okay.
spoken to
and if
them.
somebody else bids, we don't necessarily have to sell it.
Do we have to sell it? We always reserve the right, no, to not sell it. But you can't say, I'm not selling to you, I'm selling to somebody
Right,
else.
yeah, I mean, that, it becomes a little complicated if we go that route, because then we're trying to,
We really
Yeah,
are
I
saying
you know,
it's not-
push it the other way, so.
I it's-
I understand.
If the chips fall where they may.
All right, so really no other business at this point, other than to move forward, unless you want a motion?
Motion to move forward.
Okay. Would someone like to make,
Second.
let's call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Carried. Forward with that. Item number 3, request to purchase township-owned property in Block 10, Lot 125.
Paul?
This is a property out in Martintown, section of the township, fairly large vacant parcel, I think a little over 11 acres. It's in an F25 zone, so it's still, even though it's a large acre parcel, it's still undersized for the lot, so it still qualifies under the same provision of the last land sale request. He wants to consolidate it to his property. Essentially, he hunts and he wants to kind of prevent access towards the rear of that property to where he hunts.
Does he have a house already?
Yes.
Is this abut state land?
No.
Will block anybody's access?
No. No. The person behind them has access, it has a much larger parcel, it has access on both sides of these parcels.
So we talking about the same thing here,
It's the
Dan?
same
as we-
essential process.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to proceed?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. All in favor? Item number 14 is our engineered traffic study for St. Andrews. This is under unfinished business. You would ask that this be brought back after Mr. Dietrich completed his study.
If you recall, we did review St. Andrews, I'll say when school was in session, to kind of look to see how the traffic was moving down St. Andrews and going back and forth between Shore Road and the two elementary and primary school. When we did that data at that point, did not show, the average speed was below the speed limit, and the 85th percentile speed was, I think right around 29 to 31 miles an hour. When I did this study a second time, did it from June 22nd to July 6th. So we had, a couple summer weekends and 4th of July weekend, so we kind of got a feel for what the summer did. Interesting enough, I'll say that the speeds were about the same as far as in magnitude. The main difference was obviously on the one day, the traffic volume, the Saturday morning and Friday evening volumes increased, because everybody knows it's kind of one of the ways that people kind of
Avoid Roosevelt.
avoid Roosevelt Boulevard and scoot around the neighborhoods to get to the, kind of scoot down to the exit off of the Parkway and come out at the light on Roosevelt Boulevard. So, but as far as the average speed was about the same. The 85th percentile speed was slightly higher. Instead of 29 to 30, it was 31 and 32. So, essentially the same traffic data, just a little bit more volume on those 2 days. When you looked at the rest of the week, actually the volumes were less during the rest of the week, which obviously makes sense because you don't have the traffic going to the schools during those times. So, during the midweek, the traffics were less, but the speeds were about the same. We did still have high speed, you still have the outliers of speed of over 50 miles an hour traveling down there, but, that happens on every road that we do a speed study on. You'll get those people that speed down those roads.
So you did from Route 9 to the school, right? Have we
Yes.
done anything across Route 9? Because everyone's trying to make the cutoff to get on the Parkway, to catch that light. Like they're actually, like I see it all the time because I live in Beavis Point. They come around the circle and then they cut across and head up to the Parkway parking lot and get on, so they can beat the bumper to bumper traffic that's happening every weekend, Saturday and Sunday,
Yep.
at least, if not Friday. And
I have not done, the other roads on the other side of Shore Road, but based on what
There's
I've.
stop signs on those roads?
There is one
on
stop
the
sign,
one street,
like the
the
first
other
block.
street has no stop sign.
At least one.
Well, there's the first street at Allendale, the street that most of the people, that if you continue across from St. Andrews, they have, that first block, there's a stop sign, and then you go down 2 blocks.
And there's another one.
And then you have to make a right. Well, it's not a stop, but it's a hard right, so it's essentially a stop condition. And then you go down another 2 blocks to make the left. So, I did not do a speed study in that area, but I can, but it's gonna show very close and similar data, but I can show that.
What about accident data from St. Andrews? Because I think that's how this got brought to us in the first place, and that they were reporting multiple traffic accidents on that road.
I did not pull accident data for that. And the accidents really weren't on, I think they were describing accidents that were really happening on Shore Road, the state highway, not accidents on St. Andrews.
No, it was, because they were showing us pictures in there.
You'll get,
Yeah, that was.
when we get to the public thing, it's coming up very shortly.
But we did not pull accident data for the area.
So and obviously there's one of our residents is going to address us during the public portion of the meeting. I do think that we need to do some traffic studies on the other side of 9 because people are, I see license plates from not just New Jersey, they're New York, they're Pennsylvania, so they're the folks that tend to not follow the rules.
Circumvent.
And they're circumventing, waiting like everybody else does, to try and beat the traffic lights, and they're, and I find it hard to believe they're not speeding, because it seems like they're rushing as quick as they can to get up to that, opportunity to get on that Parkway exit and take the light to make the left into Ocean City. So-
Well, that's the problem with society today, people speeding everywhere, and it's a problem, and
The only way to solve it is enforcement by the state police.
Well, the original ask was speed humps or something like that to try and curtail some of the speed, so that's why I think it's probably behooves us to do some further studies, so.
It's up to, I'll do more studies, but under our current criteria that we've been using to establish for speed humps, even both of these times that I studied, at least on St. Andrews, they don't meet the level that we've kind of established to utilize for speed humps. Not saying that we can't do it, but it's not one that this would kind of qualify on the other one where we've stayed, where we're getting through traffic that's outside of a neighborhood. That's the other, that's why Perry Road, Claims
Well,
Lane has
your
had
study,
them.
your study showed that there was more traffic.
Sure.
And they're not New Jersey, they're not local people. They're people from out of town that are trying to circumvent it. You know, you don't see this happening from October through April, but you see it all summer long. I see it all summer long. So, I'm only one person, but if you guys think it should, I think we should look at the other side.
I mean, if you're looking at speed humps, you're probably, to do both sides of Shore Road along that corridor, you're probably gonna need about 6 to 7 speed
But
humps.
could you control the traffic on the other side because there's so many intersections with stop signs?
2 there now.
What?
There's 2 stop signs there now, that stretch
That's what I
runway
mean.
up to the.
And I know some stop signs are on the north-south portion of this intersection. If you flip them to east-west, that would stop too.
They are now. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 2.
Did you have a counter on the other side of the roadway?
No.
Other side?
No.
Do we have any
We
local
should put a
traffic?
counter over there, because they'll at least count the cars. I mean, if we get speed, but it's gonna give you an idea as to
Yeah.
the traffic volume that is going across onto the east side of the roadway.
Have we tried any no-through traffic, local traffic only signs?
That doesn't mean, I mean, unless you have
Enforcement, yeah.
and you really can't enforce those.
Yeah.
It's impossible to, because all they're gonna say is, I'm gonna go visit a friend up there.
Well,
And it's a public road, so you can't really exclude
Yeah, I know.
people off the public
And I
road.
think we really need to look at the accident data. The complaint was yes, speeding, but it was more the accidents that are occurring on that road. The people that live there were upset. And that's what they came to us with, pictures of cars in their front yard. You know, so I think we need to
Right.
consider their.
And that was on Shore Road, not on the side street. That was, I mean, that one particular accident, that was a
well,
car.
I think we need to at least take a look at it
Second time around.
on the other side of 9.
Sure.
Heading east.
We can put it out and I'll be able to grab the next weekend or 2 weekends and have the data for committee.
Okay. Great. And I'm sure we'll hear some comments at the public comment portion, so.
Is there any reason that we could just eliminate that connection to the Parkway exit ramp from Worcester Avenue? Just close it off?
Sure, you can close that off.
I mean, it used to be two, when I first started, we're the one,
made it
the
one
Public Works is the one that changed it to the thing.
Yeah, we made it.
Because
we made
of
it
the
on-
local residents
People used to turn hard right there, get off the Parkway and speed to
and beat
Route 9.
Roosevelt Boulevard.
And if they couldn't get on that Parkway ramp there, there'd be no reason for them to go down there.
Right, because they're never gonna get out on Roosevelt Boulevard,
Yeah,
going
they
out
won't.
on
Right.
Allendale or any of the other
Yeah.
side
No,
streets.
because you can't go across the traffic
No.
and make a left. It's
So-
I mean, unless you're, creating a traffic
I
accident
mean,
yourself.
if that was the decision to make, I think we should close it with a Jersey barrier and see what the results are first.
I think that, I mean, that would be, that would be the most cost-effective way to do it, as opposed to installing 6 to 7 speed humps along that corridor.
But we have
You
to,
could actually put Jersey barrier there and close it during the summer months and take it away in the off-season.
but I also think we need to educate the transient drivers that are gonna go down there, because what's gonna happen is, you're gonna have 10 cars like bumped up against, and they'll realize there's no access out of there.
But the problem is, it's not gonna,
Only go once.
until Google updates it, it's not gonna change it. You can put a bajillion signs and message boards, but until Google would change it, it's gonna,
I think that's the best solution to the problem.
I kinda like, Committeeman Coggin's idea, let's try it during the more heavier traffic things, because I don't really think for the most part, it's the local residents that are trying to make the cutoff, even though they know it's there. I do think that it's a lot.
I can tell you it's probably 90% locals.
Yeah.
I mean, your GPS doesn't scream at you, turn here and avoid the crowd.
Well, I gotta tell you, there's a lot of New York and Pennsylvania tags going down that road.
My recollection is that it used to be completely blocked off, and the locals asked for that access onto the Parkway.
No. It used to be open where you could, because I used to, what?
It was open completely, then it was blocked off completely, and then the locals asked to
Right.
take just the right-hand turn.
Right, because I used to make the right there.
There
'cause
were
I-
all the people west of Ocean city will have the same problem in terms of going down Roosevelt Boulevard and in the traffic, and whereas now they don't have that in that neighborhood. They can go down to the Parkway Light. So you're gonna have, I think you'll have an issue with those folks.
Because their only outlet is to go out on the Shore Road and that's it. And that light is not a long, it does not provide a lot of time.
No, if you get 4 cars to be able to make the left, that's a lot.
I think a Jersey barrier would be the simplest solution.
Well, I think we still should do some traffic studies, Phil.
I'll put it out there.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, would someone like to make a motion to pay the bills?
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes. There is one report from our Municipal Departments Division of EMS. That will be available upon request of the clerk's office tomorrow morning, but I'll make a motion to accept that report.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes. Okay, so we've reached the public comment portion of the meeting, so now's the time to address the Township Committee. I would ask that you come to the podium because we are taping this meeting. State your name, your address, and your reason for addressing the Township Committee. Who would like to go first? Yes.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Zambalak Adams. My address is 7 St. Andrews Place. One of the reasons of which you guys just had the discussion of is our concern. Our block has been an old block for many years to where we didn't have our children outside playing, even though the school is right across the street. We've become a very young neighborhood within the past 6 years. And we have just consistency of traffic that is coming through our neighborhood, especially in the summer season, but more importantly, the consistent accidents occurring on Route 9 at the end of our corner. My mother-in-law resides at 1 St. Andrews Place, who is on the corner. We are the second house in, which is 7 St. Andrews Place. And the accidents are just continuous. The multiple accidents that have occurred currently tend to land in the lawn on Route 9 of our neighbor's home. Most of the time she is out of town because she's an RN travel nurse. And just the recent accident has taken out her actual pavilion. We find that cars coming across so quickly because of the width of Route 9, which I understand is not a township challenge rather than it is state. Just some other challenges is from Randolph crossing over to St. Andrews, the stop sign that is placed by the township sits back just enough that you can't technically stop at the stop sign because the home that resides right there on Route 9 and Randolph on the corner, their bushes and shrubberies are 10 to 12 foot high. So there's a stop sign presented by the township that you can't technically see any traffic that may be coming north or south unless you exceed it. So as you exceed that stop sign, you still have to slightly pull out onto Route 9 because the shrubs are so high. You can't see if somebody is coming northbound on Route 9. And I understand probably the property itself was designed with that shrubbery to prevent noise. And I understand that you live on a main road, but that is also a main concern. If you can't see past to be able to cross over, that complicates scenarios. Now, on our street, particularly as you come onto St. Andrews, we have a massive divot. So the thing is us as residents know to slow down or your car is gonna bottom out. I drive a sport utility. If I turn too quick, my car is gonna hit it and it shakes you. But so many people are taking this turn and scraping their cars, but then it seems that it makes them angry and they speed up. Because now they're just angry that their car was damaged. But just with the kids out playing for the summer, it's a main concern for us because we just want to make sure that, school's out. The kids want to play basketball, they want to ride their bikes, but with all the traffic and the speeding, it's extremely concerning. And I will tell you, again, it was an old block, but out of the 12 homes we have on our block, 10 of them have kids that are of the age of 12 or younger. And it just concerns us.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're trying to get a handle on it, and that's why we're having some, Paul perform some of these traffic analysis, and we're trying to do the best we can to try and figure it out. So
no, and I understand that.
But we appreciate you, and the other residents have also brought forth their concerns as well.
Yeah, Jen is here as well. The only other thing that we had mention of, which doesn't really specifically concern our particular neighborhood or street, but even where Route 9 comes to Roosevelt, when we spoke on the last meeting, a comment was made that even that left-hand turn, which I'll be quite honest, I am guilty of taking that back road when I'm going out to work. I will say it's convenient. But as you are on Route 9 heading south, where the Dunkin' Donuts and CVS is, if you sit in that left lane and the arrow turns green, you're lucky to get a car and a half if somebody is tailing someone because they know that light's gonna turn right away, that they can't make that left turn. That, to me, is also a time concern that is also taking the variance for people using the back route. Because they're like, oh wait, I have to get on the Parkway. You're gonna have to sit through the long light of people coming Roosevelt from the Parkway. You have to wait the long light of people going the opposite direction. But as you're just trying to make your left to get on to a Parkway north or south entrance, you are lucky if you're the first vehicle. If you're the second, you better be right on the tail of the next car, or you're gonna have to wait for the next 2-3 lights if you're the fourth car in line. And that has, somebody told me I was wrong. It's gonna be 4 cars, it's not 4 cars. It's a car and a half if you're lucky.
I live on Hollywood Lane, and
Okay, so you get it.
I hit it all the time.
Okay, so, thank you so much for your time.
All right. Anyone else? Yes. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Good, how are you? My name is Jennifer Kilroy. I live at 6 St. Andrews Place.
Okay.
I'd like to thank all the firefighters and EMS that always respond to our block. I'm here on behalf of my neighbors, all the kids on the street. We have about 12 to 15 kids every day playing in the neighborhood, and we're just concerned. I don't even think that there's like a speed limit sign anywhere on the street, and I think it's supposed to be like 25, right? There? Okay.
Yeah.
And you had said it was like anywhere from like 29 to 32?
When we talk about the 85th percentile speed, that's when if you measure the speed of 100 cars, that means 85% of the cars are doing less than 32 miles an hour.
Okay.
And the average speed was 24 miles an hour. So the average speed of the cars on there are under the speed limit. 85% of the cars that are driving are doing 31 or 32 miles or less.
But you had them as high as 50.
But to have them as high as 50, you always have the outliers
Right, so
on every
that's a
street.
concern. If there's more cars coming down the street and, there's a lot of kids on the street, it's concerning. And then also, I wanted to just, state again on Route 9 going south, that light there, that traffic light. When you're going north, there's people also turning as you're trying to turn with the green arrow. So that's, all you have to do is like put a red arrow, like don't turn, that kind of a thing, so.
Only that's not our street light either, that's the county's.
Okay.
So,
I'm just
and
trying
I
to
know
troubleshoot
it sounds
and
like we're trying to like dish it off to
I know.
other.
We're just trying to help with the
yeah,
whole situation. The whole thing needs an overhaul. It really
No, but
does.
I don't disagree, with what you're saying, because, I personally experienced it.
Right, right.
So.
So we're just here trying to, figure it out. And whatever you guys can do for us, we would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I know,
Okay.
isn't the county looking at doing something in that intersection anyway?
The state.
The state is?
The state is.
So,
That's probably
we'll
the-
make sure that they're getting, all these notations, because the lights are supposed to function, they do have these cameras that I guess
Right.
monitor like the stack up and.
Right, I don't think that they're accurate.
Yeah, I
Actually,
know,
there
I
is-
agree with you.
Yeah.
But they're there.
The state actually gave us a plan, what was it, about a year ago, for the redesign and the whole rebuilding of that intersection. And what did they anticipate, like
2024.
2024.
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean,
At least there's an anticipation.
well, I mean, it's like the Route 50 bridge in Tuckahoe. I think they had that anticipated for 10 years, so.
Okay. So the whole Route 9 is county then, correct?
No, Route 9 is.
Route 9 is state, but Roosevelt Boulevard is county.
And just to remind everybody, from Roosevelt Boulevard heading north, it's no longer Route 9. It's actually just Shore Road. The state highway has removed the destination of Route 9.
They made the Parkway the part of.
Parkway is Roosevelt, Route 9 actually turns it down Roosevelt Boulevard and then goes Parkway north. So everything from Roosevelt Boulevard north to into Beasley's Point is just Shore Road now.
Okay.
Not that, it's still a state highway, but it's just not.
Some of us have been there for 30-some years. We call it Route 9. We're not looking to change that, no, just.
All right.
So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your.
Thank you, thanks.
Right. You know what, Jay, before I have you, this gentleman's been patiently waiting. Would you like to come up and address the Township Committee? Okay. All right, Jake, you know the rules. Come on up here and talk at the podium here.
Mr. Mayor, Jay Newman, 10 Diane Avenue, Marmora, New Jersey. I'm also the chief of the Marmora Fire Company, and what the residents have reported to you is true. We have an increase of accidents in that general vicinity. As far as the traffic behind, in that neighborhood that's trying to get on the Parkway, this past Saturday, as I stated before, it was total gridlock. There wasn't anywhere to go, and in my opinion, it is just to the sheer volume of traffic. When you take 4 lanes of traffic coming down to Roosevelt, 2 lanes coming down to Roosevelt Boulevard, and 4 lanes, or 3 lanes coming off of, or 2 lanes turning left onto Roosevelt Boulevard off the Parkway, all shimmying down to 1 lane going into Ocean City, it's not a pretty picture. So it's just, I think, I don't know if there is anything to do with it, you can do with it. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Corson. However, I think that if you put Jersey barriers up there, you're just gonna have people jumped in there, and it'll be a mess for a long
Yeah,
time.
that would be my concern, because Saturday and Sunday, there were, if you're looking to the left, trying to make that cutoff, it was amazing how many cars were there.
We literally had a resident that day on Stanhope Road take her vehicle and park it across Stanhope Road to try to keep people from slowing down and going through there. And it doesn't work, because they just go around it, and it was a gridlock. I was like amazed. It was the worst traffic I've ever seen in my, Chief Warden had 45 years, I've been 40 years, 43 years.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to be doing a
Yeah,
resolution
not
for you
for a
at some
while.
point.
Not for a couple of years yet.
I mean, I'm not trying, Parkway's a fine example too. It goes 4
Parkway
lanes,
is-
3 lanes down to Cape May.
Yep.
Boom, you go to a single lane bridge, so everybody skirts to West Cape May, so it's a fiasco.
Nothing, I don't say there's nothing you can do about it except build wider roads and widen the causeway, and good luck with that. And
Everybody's in a
in
hurry.
addition to the actual intersection, as they were stating, the state right-of-way for St. Andrews and Randolph and St. Martin's and that cross section there, the state right-of-way is probably twice the width it normally is, and there's huge shoulders there, and people don't realize how long it's gonna take them to get across. They might stop, they probably can't see the stop sign, like the resident said, they might stop, but they can't see, they underestimate the time it's gonna take them to get across and hit that, and that's where the accidents are occurring.
Craig, Mike, is there any way we can look at that stop sign?
Look, it's like triangle.
Yeah.
I already did, I sent the pictures. It was all done.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
2 months ago.
Okay, well, let's take a look at it again. I didn't get to see the picture. That's not my department.
Good evening.
Public safety.
I'm Nelson Clark Alexander, all lowercase. I'm of the family of Dice. I live on Peck's Beach Island, now known as Ocean City, the corporation. I was led by the Holy Spirit to come out tonight to talk about the Parkway and Roosevelt Boulevard. Because those of us that live over there have to think about the pain of coming over to Upper Township at certain times. And over the last few years, we moved here in 72, 73. I remember all the woods. It was great. Okay, I feel for the pain that's going on. But I learned a lot tonight. Thank you. And I have cheated a little when I'm coming north and gone over all the stop signs. It's all downhill. It's hard to keep my speed to get to that little turn. But I try to limit it. I'll wait at the light. I'll nudge to get through. But the main reason I'm out here is to discuss why even people who are familiar with the Parkway and Roosevelt Boulevard from October to April, when those accidents occur. I've driven hundreds of thousands of miles in my life, and I've seen a lot of different interesting solutions from a safety standpoint. And I believe, assuming I didn't have a lot of money, assuming I wanted to do something with the most impact as quick as possible, I'll first discuss the October to April. The problem, as a professional driver, I was a limousine driver, I drove vans, towed trailers. The problem is visibility. I know what lights are there, and I still can't figure out Roosevelt Boulevard and the Parkway, because as I'm approaching, coming out of Ocean City, I look at the different lights, I see the colors. The solution to me, the quickest thing to do, if anyone's been anywhere out in Buna or other places, when they have a traffic signal that's around a curve, and it's not enough time because of the high speed, they put a sign that says, red light about to turn, and it blinks. So you're warned ahead of time to start slowing down instead of turning, and if there's cars stopped, you'd hit them. So what I would do is I would place those types of warning signs on the side of the Parkway, going both ways, so that when I'm approaching it, I can be aware the light, I'm trying to see what the color is, so that I can decide how I'm going to go fast, or I'll slow down because I know I have to stop. All that is not available to me because of the visibility problem. The lights are blocked. If there's a truck, it's a disaster. And I know people who have been killed, or knew of friends who were relatives of people who were killed at that intersection. So that was the main reason I came out tonight, was to actually, after years of saying, what would I do? That's my answer. That's the first thing I would do. And that would allow people to respond and determine, because our reflexes aren't that great, especially if our car might miss or whatever. So that would be my one solution to that. As I'm sitting here listening tonight, I'm not a constituent of Ocean City. I'm not in the voter rolls. I'm a foreign sovereign. I'm a man on the land. I don't participate in the political venue. But I believe Ocean City could contribute in some fashion in the summer to somehow come up with a plan to alleviate the backlog, because no one wants to sit in traffic. It's costing them a fortune to not have the people in there. And so I would solicit some funds from Ocean City, and I believe they would give it to you to even if it was manpower on the high time frames where, because when people are making their own decisions and they all have what's going on in their lives and where they have to be, and then they get frustrated, and as the woman indicated, their car gets bottomed out and now they're angry and they don't know where they are really. They just know, how they do things at home. So I believe that, and I know at 9th and Bay, they have finally surrendered and placed in Ocean City and placed a full-time during the day, in the summer, all day, every day, basically, a traffic signal officer who manually watches the traffic. And I think that that would be something that you could do. And lastly, I would say, I think someone might have mentioned it, a red left-hand arrow going onto the parkway. Because when I approach that intersection, I slow down purposely because I have no idea if that person's going to try to beat me to the on-ramp, and it's very stressful actually, because I take my life seriously and I don't want to lose it at that intersection. So every single time, both ways, when I'm coming close to the parkway, I am on high alert. So a red turn signal that stops everyone and maybe bring everybody to a stop coming to the west, for example, out of Ocean City. That would save some of the collisions, and the need for these volunteers to be always on, it would reduce their workload. So I thank you for your time. And I like Upper Township, and I've enjoyed watching you guys grow. And please forgive anyone who's had a bad attitude from Ocean City. We're extreme.
We're good partners. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Jack.
Jack Griffin, Upper Township resident. I live on, which I used to call North Shore Road because I thought it was more appropriate. Now it was Route 9 when I knew the post office had everything to say about that, but I'd gladly call it North Shore Road again because it just sounds like a more pleasant place to live. I appreciate all the solutions that we're talking about on Roosevelt Boulevard. I certainly see with Chief Newman, we own Dompierre on the corner of, it's right on Roosevelt Boulevard near Route 9. And every day, as Curtis, it's every day the sirens, whether they're going to, respond and help out Ocean City. It's been a nightmare this summer, and I personally, because of COVID and everything, don't see any of that going away anytime soon. So, although we have a lot of solutions, as Mayor said, it's a county road. The state road for Route 9 ending there on the corner. So there's a lot of things that are involved here. They're wonderful ideas. Hopefully, Paul, when you go to the next meeting with Scott, you'll convey some of those things and hopefully they'll do something about it. But one thing I think we're missing, because we just recently bought another business, it was A1 Plumbing. It used to be the firehouse back in the day, and it's a great building. The structure is great, but one thing we're missing is that after being on the planning board, that area, which the mayor is talking about on the opposite side of St. Andrews, because I really don't know what happens there, but I do know that in the 7 years that we've owned Dompierre, and now we have a new building, Broadleys has grown. It's a mixed use area. That's what we're forgetting. In the master plan, that has been put in there for us to allow for commercial businesses. And with that said, you're going to have some issues with traffic, with people speeding, and also bigger trucks now, things like that. We have tractor trailers that come in with supplies and things like that. So it's a difficult thing. If you do turn around and close that entrance onto the ramp, There's a lot of trucks. Broadleys has a huge business. There's a lot of people that are not going to be able to function normally. Yes, they can find other ways. But I thought it was my discussion years ago with Paul that the township has these side roads to help alleviate exactly what we're all experiencing on the main roads. That was the purpose for little escapes for all of us to find our way. Not to speed that way, but to find a solution. So with that said, it's difficult to really try and, you're going to do all these studies, but we're forgetting that right in the master plan, it's saying that that's a mixed use on that side of the road, which means, and as you pointed, sir, the township is growing in that area. That is the primary business area. So with that said, I don't see it, pulling back anytime soon. I just honestly think we all need to kind of keep, be aware of what's happening and try to have some kind of solution. But the stop signs seem to work for people that do work there all the time. There are plenty of stops on Worcester. There's 3 stop signs. But I could tell you, for the last year of owning the other building right near Worcester, the traffic going down Worcester now is way different than when we first started there. So yeah, there's a difference in the off season, but definitely I think a problem and a solution. It's not that easy. I appreciate you listening about Roosevelt Boulevard, but I don't even know how Chief Newman does it, because every day it's a nightmare. So I feel bad because there were places in other places that I've lived that the mortality rate had to go up at a particular intersection before the state or the county would come in and do anything. So I hope that that doesn't happen in this case. The second thing, and I wasn't planning on discussing that, but since it was a big thing tonight, the second thing I just wanted to ask, years ago the mayor had put together a committee of people from the township for talking about economic development, the EDAC, the Economic Development Advisory Commission. And I have to commend the mayor. The mayor appointed Susan Adelisi Schmidt, very qualified person to do that job, to be the chairperson of that committee, that commission. And with that said, it was put out there in public notice that we had to apply to be a part. If you were interested and showed the interest, you had to apply for that position if you were chosen. And I appreciate that, because I think the people that were chosen, Mayor, were the right people for that commission, and it was a great experience. My concern...
Coggins served on that too, right?
Yes, and John was wonderful, it was really a great experience. But my concern is, and I appreciate this, Ms. Hayes, is that attending last month's meeting, as a former music teacher for 28 years, Dr. Janice Betts is a wonderful person. She and I are personal friends. We've done things together with the county and things like that. Really is a huge advocate. My concern is that the new initiative that you came up with, which is wonderful, because Don Pierre is all about design and things like that, trying to get more of that into the township. I was wondering how people were chosen other than Dr. Betts, because I believe in an open process.
That's a very easy question to answer.
And there's 8 people, like the township
Right,
is
very easy question.
10 villages. Let me finish 1 second, please. 10 villages, and within the 10 villages, how are we being represented? And I would have liked to have applied if I could have had the opportunity.
So unlike the Economic Advisory Council, this was not a committee that was appointed by the Township Committee, nor myself. They will operate like our sports and recreation boards do. They're their own private 501c3, which they are in the process of forming now. Janice reached out to members of the community herself to find people who were interested in serving, and that's how that board was put together. That came after conversations that I had with Janice about her experience and how I felt that there was a need under sports and recreation for that. So they are not an appointed board by this governing body. They really have very little to do with us. Actually, at this point, they have nothing to do with us because they haven't achieved their 501c3 and haven't been recognized by us yet.
If I may, if they want to be recognized as an ongoing sports or recreation program in the township, they have to apply to the Sports and Recreation Advisory Board. They review their status and whatnot to see if they fall within the same parameters as the other sports and recreation programs. If they do, a recommendation is then made to the Township Committee that because you get benefits by being an ongoing program
Right.
And not, but you have to be a nonprofit, there's certain rules you have to follow. So at this stage, we haven't gotten anything at the township level.
Right.
For that.
Yeah, I know-
The Economic
yeah.
Development Committee was different. That was actually an ordinance created, and a program that's not an ongoing sports and recreation program, but rather a committee of the township committee.
Right, I guess I do apologize to you because from the last meeting, if you look at the video in the last meeting, you review it, it is almost surely saying it was your idea
It
and you were
was.
spearheading it.
It was
And
my
therefore, I
idea.
assumed that that was the same thing.
It was
with
my
the-
idea, I identified a need in the community for recreation.
So
and I
therefore
reached
that
out
was-
to-
yeah.
So I reached out to Dr. Betts, who served on the state and county council for the arts, because I figured that was the most qualified person. She has a doctorate in fine arts.
Oh, I know her personally,
Right.
yeah.
And I know her personally, so it was conversations that she and I have had over the years. So I did reach out to her and ask her if she would be interested in creating some kind of organization like this. I assisted her in the needs, what she would need to develop to be able to be recognized under the Sports and Rec Advisory Board. And that's where they stand now.
Great.
And that's what they're working on. So it was not, as a matter of fact, I'm not actually allowed to take part in it at that level.
Okay,
You
I
know,
guess
their
it was a
day-to-day
misunderstanding.
Yeah, their day-to-day operations are.
One last thing as I'm thinking about the township with the issue on Roosevelt Boulevard, I have to say, on a daily basis, you might see a state trooper hiding behind some of the buildings across from Dom Care. They're there to catch people, and the traffic is there going back and forth. As this gentleman said, it might not be a bad idea if the state troopers just moved down a little bit towards the light in that area that is the place of contention and had a presence there instead of trying to hide out of the way to catch people. It's happening, I see it, they're looking for speeders, but maybe they should be more visible, and that would be a better solution for us, especially during the summer, so. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the township committee? You still need to come up to the mic because they won't be able to pick you up from back there.
Jennifer Kilroy, 6 St. Andrews Place. Is this meeting still available virtually?
No.
Okay.
It's available to review
Okay.
because it is posted, but it's not a virtual meeting anymore.
Okay. And
It would be, I have to tell you, we did, I think the committee did a really good yeoman's task getting us through COVID with the virtual calls. But it would be very difficult, because I'm the one that facilitates this kind of public forum. We had more attendance on the virtual calls, but it would be hard to say, well, we're going to recognize you, and then there's people that are trying to raise their hand. It was very difficult when there was an issue where there was a lot of concern. We had at times, over 100 people, and all you see is this little box. That's all we can see, and it was really hard to recognize people. So we took advantage of the fact that it became open. The committee was ready to get back into our chambers here and have open meetings, so.
Right. Is there any way that it could be available through Teams for maybe just the community to sign on and be involved? For like people that are homebound or disabled or?
Well, we had talked, and these are our software gurus,
Okay.
Scott and Paul, and we had talked of potentially streaming the meeting at the same time, but there's a difference between a virtual and streaming. Streaming is you're watching it, but you
Right.
don't have input.
The problem is when you stream a meeting, it doesn't know where you are on the other side. I don't
Right,
think.
I guess I'm speaking from the point of, like, instead of us having to come and speak in person, could it be available through like a link where we could listen in and then have public comment at the
Well,
end?
that's where the
That's where we ran
issues
into
lie.
trouble.
We tried doing that a couple times during COVID where the 5 of us were here and we had a virtual call going on, and we had all kinds of problems with back noise and different things. It's just, we haven't gotten to that point, and quite frankly, I do government affairs for my job besides, serving as mayor. And I found that more and more of the boards of pharmacy that I'm responsible for in the states, they're all going back to live meetings. Some of them are streaming, but they're not doing both.
We are our township website, all our email addresses are readily available. Our professionals are here 8 hours a day. I mean, so you can contact anybody, pretty much, I mean,
Okay.
all the time. Well, I mean, if you email, like me personally, I'm review my emails daily, but, so it might be 10 hours, 12 hours.
All right, yeah, because I just was thinking that there would be more people here, but it's kind of late, and so if it could be possibly maybe in the future changed to like a Teams or some other kind of platform that's easier than, I don't know what you guys use now, whatever.
Something we can look at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, it appears that we have reached the limit on those that would like to address the Township Committee. I thank all of you for coming tonight. I thank all of those who made comments tonight. We're always interested to hear what the residents have to say. I wish you all a great week on behalf of the Township Committee. But at this time, I'll turn to Committeeman Coggins and entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are contract negotiations with Marsh McLennan, with special counsel for labor law matters, with Stockton Coastal Research for the watershed management plan, litigation, Hemby versus Upper Township, Chatton versus Upper Township, contract negotiation, project development agreement / redevelopment, and personnel. I also include in my motion the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken, or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. With respect to litigation matters, such discussions will be made public when litigation is complete and the applicable appeal period has expired.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corsi?
Yes.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you all. Please drive safely home. Have a great week.